we are at a point in our lives where we should
Uh-oh.
not
She's about to get
be.
serious now. You heard her, guys. She said, wait a minute. Okay.
All
Okay,
right,
it's about to
ladies,
get.
I want y'all to
Yeah.
listen up.
She about to give us a nugget right now.
No, I was just gonna say. I was just gonna say, when are we going to stop making excuses? You are 45, you are 50, you are 55, you are 60, you are 65. When are we going to stop making excuses and saying that we don't have enough of what we need to do what we want? If God has given you the vision, if God has given you the idea, it is for you to move on. You have everything you need. You have everything. You have everything you need. And everything else that you need will come as you go. But you have to move. You have to get in motion. You actually have to do something. You can't just be sitting on something. You can't just be sitting on an idea and wondering, when is it going to happen? It's going to happen when you do something. That's
Preach
when it's
to
going to
me.
happen. It's not going to happen if it's just floating around in your head, right? And if we don't do it now, when? If not now, when?
Yeah.
We are on the other side of our life, right? If you're not starting it now, when the hell are you going to start it? When are you going to do it? What are we waiting for? Stop waiting. There's nothing else to wait for.
That's right. My writing mentor said, do it. Do it afraid. Just do it.
Just do it. Just do it. Stop making excuses. You're too old for all these excuses. Just do it. And if it doesn't go well, oh well, it didn't go well. Next. Thank you. Who's that? An Ariana Grande. Thank you. Next. Thank you. Next. Just move on.
Welcome to Wisdom in Bloom podcast. What is going on? Happy New Year. We got to start something new, reinvent, rebrand, start something new. Whether it's a New Year's resolution or a new tradition or a new adventure, we're starting something new. And that's what this podcast is about, like starting something new. Podcasting in YouTube. And as we have done, coming together to do this podcast now, I've been doing podcasting for a while and now coaching other clients to launch their podcast. But this was a new adventure. This was something new for me to even dive in with you as we are doing all things women of a certain age and all the things that they go through. So a lot of research has went into the topics and the things that we do. And I'm learning about me and things that I'm going through, because what you don't know, you don't know. Yeah. I love it. I actually love it. It started out really as a therapeutic outlet for me. And, and
your first podcast.
First podcast. And I convinced my husband to do it with me. I was so depressed and I was going through so much at the time. And then COVID hit. And then I started just sinking deeper and deeper into this black hole, and things, the dysfunctionality of things that was happening in my family at the time, because of a lot of it was because of me and the trauma that I've been through and the control I want to have. And I just kept getting deeper and deeper. And I'm like, I got to do something to have an outlet. And podcasting came along for me, and it was a godsend. Really, it was a godsend for me. And I drug my husband along, and I say drug, but he willingly came. He was like, whatever I can do to
support and help you, right?
Yeah. And so I lovingly call him my sidekick, because I literally I do all the everything and then throw a mic in front of him and say, let's talk about it. But I learned so much and able to help other clients, launch their podcast. And then, God gave me this idea of us doing this podcast for women over a certain age. And I'm just so happy that we dove into it and we are learning, because God knows there's so much to learn. And I thought I knew everything, and I know most of everything. But we have learned so much by taking this leap, because we have a story to tell and an experience to share.
Well, I mean, I feel like you've touched on two of the reasons why.
Let's get it.
Two of the reasons.
And how many reasons do we have to discuss in this episode?
Why we are saying that women over 40 need to start a podcast and or a YouTube channel this year. So the first part was therapy. You said it has been therapeutic, right? Starting your first podcast, it was a very low point for you during COVID and some other personal things that you were going through. And having a place where you can like share what's going on or even just speak your truth about something else that's happening in your life with your husband, connecting with other people who may be going through that experience or know, what it is that you are going through can
Absolutely.
be, I mean, it's invaluable. It's invaluable. And it's one of those things that you don't realize until actually it happens. Because lots of times when you're thinking about something new, you're like, oh my God, it's going to be so horrible. People aren't going to watch. Nobody's going to like it. And it's going to be terrible. But there actually are a lot of people who come to support and help create that community for you where it can be very therapeutic to build something new and fun and exciting. And then the second thing I heard you say was learning. How starting your podcast really helped you to learn. And I think it's important to say as we age, that doesn't mean we stop learning. That doesn't
or growing
mean
or evolving.
yes, or growing, or many times it can be intimidating. There's a lot of things happening digitally quickly. There's always something new, and it can be very daunting. So like learn a new app or learn a new feature on your iPhone, right? Or learn what's going on with some new device or something. But we are still able to do it, right? If you just take that challenge on, don't feel like, oh my God, there's no way I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it to my kids, my grandkids. No, you do it. You learn it. You figure it out. Like you discover and see what's happening. Yeah. Because we can still learn at this age. So, and grow. Learn and grow.
And grow and continue to grow, because we don't have to stop growing because we're at a certain age. That doesn't have to stop. You know what I mean?
No, it should never stop.
Absolutely. No. Absolutely.
And also, it's good for our brain, right? We need to make sure that our brain is continuing to be useful, right? As we get older.
And we have to.
Yes. We have to. Yes. It helps us, slow down that aging process, right? If you are not challenging yourself and using your brain, it's not gonna be good for you, right? So those are two wonderful reasons. Another reason I think it's a great idea, especially for us women, is that we have so much wisdom to share on so many wonderful topics that we have experienced in our lives, whether it's motherhood or just, being a daughter, or if you never have maybe been a mother, but maybe you've been a caretaker, right? You have challenges in the workplace as a woman and how to, maybe you're interested in moving up a ladder or breaking a wall or something, right? There's so many things that we have done and triumphed over that we can talk to younger people about, and even people our own age. You know what I mean? And I think it's important to make sure we are doing that we are actually, sharing what we have learned with others.
Our experience, because it's almost like our living testimony in sharing all the experience or wisdom or things that we have learned, things that we've gone through, how we have come out of it, going through something, not necessarily saying that it may be the same or you may get through it or go through it the same, but to know that someone else has been there and experienced it and been able to and willing to share what they've learned through that experience is invaluable, is priceless, because as they say in the diversity where representation matters. Well, representation matters across all ethnicity, but it also matters across gender and age. Women of a certain age, we're going through things. I mean, we've talked about several things for women over 40 or over 50, and a lot of times there is not that information out there, or the information is put out there by younger women or by men. But what
Mhm.
about the woman who's actually of a certain age, who've been through it, who want to share what they've been through? Representation matters within that category as well.
Yeah. And also because there are a lot of people our age actually watching YouTube, actually
Mm-hmm,
listening to
mm-hmm,
podcasts.
mm-hmm,
Why aren't we
mm-hmm.
listening to people our age?
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Why aren't we listening to people like us, right? Like you said, in
Mm-hmm,
the DE&I space, we always talk about representation for women,
mm-hmm.
representation for different races, representation for different sexualities. Age is also a representation that I feel like is
Absolutely,
overlooked. So it's
absolutely.
so easy for us to just, have what is it? Ageism, I guess.
Mm-hmm,
Ageism is
mm-hmm,
a thing that we don't talk about. But we
mm-hmm.
need representation for different ages too. In this country, we like to throw away old people like, they don't have anything to
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
They're
It's like
not
we don't
valuable.
exist. Mm-hmm,
Yes, but we're the ones out here spending the money. We're the ones out here buying all the things, but you don't want
mm-hmm,
to advertise to us. You think that we
mm-hmm,
can't offer you anything. And
mm-hmm.
it's absolutely wrong.
It
Wrong,
is. I
wrong,
agree.
wrong,
I
wrong,
agree. I
wrong,
agree.
wrong.
I
Yes.
agree.
So representation for our age group matters, ladies. It
Mm-hmm,
definitely matters. And the
mm-hmm.
other thing, another reason is, what are we doing now? What is our next new thing? What are
Yeah.
we
What is
doing?
our next chapter? What is our next
Right.
adventure? And why?
Right.
And you don't have to wait till a crisis come or something traumatic happens for you to step into that next adventure. In my case, it was COVID that kind of pushed me. I'd always thought about podcasting, but never
Mm-hmm.
took the time to do it. And then COVID happened, and that trauma or traumatic time helped me to kind of push into it. But it doesn't have to be always because you're going through something. I hear people say, women say, I got laid off, which I was one of those people, got laid off, or
Mm-hmm.
this, or I got divorced, or this happened to me. And because that happened, that pushed me into doing this. Well, on most cases, it was already in the back of our heads that we wanted to do it. We already knew. God had already tapped us on the shoulder and say, hey,
Mm.
this is an idea for you and it's relegated just for you. You know what I mean? What
Mm-hmm.
God has for you is for you. And then we don't listen, or we shove, or we shrug the idea off, and he has to keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden something happens, and then you have to do it because it's so forefront into your face to get it done. But it doesn't have to be. We don't have
Mm-mm.
to wait until something like that happens. Just start. Start your
Yes.
new adventure, start your new chapter. Start it. Your voice matters. People want to hear your story.
Yes.
Tell your story. Reach out to me. Let me help you get that podcast lunch so you can tell that story, or your YouTube channel. Tell your story. I'm telling you, somebody else out there wants to hear it. I met a
Yeah.
young lady who's doing a podcast now, and she was talking to me, and I began to bawl crying because the things that she was saying to me, 'cause she's like 55, and the things she was saying to me, I've been through it as well. And we just
Mm.
hugged. And she said, I asked God, if I can only touch one person with this story, with this podcast, I've done my job. I was that one person. But trust me, she's going to touch many people, many people.
Mm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, also too, I think people are afraid, right?
Yeah.
That's why we don't
Fear.
start new things. We're concerned about what the other people are gonna say. We're
Hmm.
concerned about what, somebody's gonna think. Well, let me tell you,
Hmm.
nobody cares and nobody's watching. Okay. As you know, Denise, you have started podcasts. I've
Hmm.
had YouTube channels. People are they don't care. They don't pay attention. And even if they say something, it's like, oh, that's great. And
Hmm.
that's it,
Hmm.
right? We spend so much time worrying about other people, and
Hmm.
they're not worried about us because you
Hmm.
know
And
what
they're
they're
not
worried
your
about?
target audience anyway, though.
Yeah, but they're worried about
You know.
themselves. They're not worried about
Hmm.
you, right? They're not even worried about what you're
Hmm.
doing.
Yeah.
So don't
Hmm.
let that hold you back.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
also, when you start something new like this, it will build your confidence. It
Hmm.
will actually allow you to not be so concerned and consumed with what others
Hmm.
are thinking, right? And you're
Hmm.
thinking and feeling like, oh, this is not something I can do. This
Yeah.
because I don't have anything that anybody wants to hear. Nobody cares about my story, as you were mentioning before. Nobody cares
Hmm.
about my experiences. No, you have something important to say. You have something valuable to offer. And the
Hmm.
more that you put yourself yourself out there, and the more that you share that, the more it's going to boost your confidence, and you're going to actually start to step in to the
Mhm.
powerful woman that you are.
And our creativity as a woman, over 40, over 50, our creativity is off the roof. You know why? We've lived longer. we
Mm-hmm.
know we know way more. No matter how much a younger person tell you, you don't know what I'm going through, honey. Yes, we do. My granddaughter asked me today, she's 5, and me and her was having some little conversation, and she asked me today, she said, have you ever been at my size? And I said,
Like you don't you like you have to go through that stage. You like you can skip it or something.
yeah. And I said, yeah. I said, I was just, and she looked at me and she said, you were my size. I said, yes, I was even smaller than you. I started at your size before I got to this size. And her eyes just lit up so big, like she couldn't believe that I was that size and now I'm here. And I looked at her and I said, you just keep on living and wisdom will carry you from that size to this size. And she just got so excited, like I had given her this magic bullet to say, hey, just keep doing what you're doing. Eventually you're going to be this size too. But
Oh.
I looked at that as like, people don't understand when we're telling them these stories or these experiences that we literally lived it and was able to come out on the other side just so we can share those experiences with you. Your
Mm-hmm.
voice matters. It
Yeah.
matters. People
Yep.
need to hear it. You just got to find your target audience. And the people who are saying something or that you're worried about, they're not your target audience anyway. So, they're not to even be worried about at all.
Mm-mm. 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 And also, ladies, we need to be more focused on ourselves, right? At
Mhm.
this age, we have done so many things,
Yeah,
right? We
all the
have,
things.
right. Maybe you've, raised a family. Maybe you have a spouse, you have a partner, maybe you have pets. Maybe you've been working, for the last 20, 25 years, doing
Mm-hmm.
something, taking care of other people. And
Mm-hmm.
this is something you can do for yourself, right?
Yeah.
Something that doesn't have anything to do with you caring for anybody else. This
Mm-hmm.
is putting yourself first, putting your interests first, right?
Yeah.
Putting your knowledge first, putting,
Yeah.
what you have to say first, and doing something just for you. And I feel like we don't do that enough because women are, worried about being selfish and worried about doing too much for themselves when they're
Yeah.
supposed to be doing so much for others. Stop all of that. Like you have done plenty, okay? You've done plenty for other people.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing for yourself? This
Mm-hmm.
is an opportunity, creating something. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
just think about it, Denise. Like, we literally created this from nothing, from an idea,
From an idea.
from
Mm-hmm.
from one idea. We were
Mm-hmm.
like, what can we do to talk to women? Or we've come up with all of these show ideas.
Mm-hmm.
We've reached
Mm-hmm.
out to guests. We've had, some technical difficulties and all these
Mm-hmm.
things that we've had to figure out
Mm-hmm.
just for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I think we need to spend a lot more time being selfish at this age, taking care of ourselves, paying attention to things that
Mm-hmm.
we want to do in
Mm-hmm.
life, goals that we want to achieve,
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that that stays, in the front, like
Mm-hmm.
forefront. I
Mm-hmm.
continue to push it to the back
Mhm.
burner.
I love it. I love it. Another thing is it builds your confidence. Just start. Eventually, your confidence. I mean, when I first started my first podcast, me
Hmm.
and my husband, we must have, even just doing our trailers, we must have did that thing 10 times. We just couldn't. Oh, it don't sound right. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. And I was so nervous. I kept tapping the table, and he kept putting his hand on my hand, like you're tapping the table. They can hear it in the mic. You know what I mean? It's just all kind of things was happening. One time we recorded a whole hour and something podcast. It was so good. It was so good. Like it was so emotional and tears, and the power went out, and we lost the entire recording. And I could have just crawled up under the table. You hear me? So all kind of things has happened that has taught us different ways to figure things out or to be proactive just in case those things happen again. But as I'm going, I build confidence in knowing that I just got to get it out there, get it started, and keep going and keep going. And of course, it's going to look raggedy in the beginning, but eventually it's going to look professional. It's going to look like we want it to look. And it has grown so much that I'm able to coach others and to have other clients. But in the beginning, oh my God, I myself had a coach. I myself had a mentor
Yeah.
because you have to invest in yourself. If you want
Mhm.
something to be right, you got to invest in yourself, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with getting support, right? So
Hmm.
perhaps you are thinking, like you said, many times we have these ideas, right, in the back of our head, but we don't have the confidence, or we feel like we don't have enough information, or we feel like we
Hmm.
don't have enough support to start the
Hmm.
thing, right?
Absolutely.
Well, Denise is able to help you. Okay. If you want to start, if you want to start a podcast and you don't know like what the first step is, you don't know where to turn, you don't know, am I concerned? Should I be concerned about the title of my podcast? No,
Hmm.
maybe I should
Hmm.
be concerned. Am I going to be able to find guests? Oh, no, no, no.
Hmm.
Maybe I should. Okay. This
Hmm.
is why we have people to help guide us, right? To
Hmm.
help
Hmm.
guide us. We don't give up. And if you are interested in starting a podcast and you need that guidance, please just go ahead and click that link in the show notes and you can schedule some time to talk to Denise about it and she will help guide you through that.
We invest in a whole lot of things, but we forget to invest in ourselves. We
We
really
invest in
do.
ourselves last. And
Hmm.
that's the place we should
Hmm.
start. Like I said, be selfish, give back to
Yeah.
yourself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I,
One other thing too that we
Mhm.
researched when we talked about starting something new or starting a podcast or YouTube, over 40 or over 50 is you let go of that loneliness. And we've been talking about loneliness in our previous episodes, loneliness during the holidays, loneliness in where it comes with relationships. And we're actually going to be continuing talking about those. So to our listeners who really are into those episodes, we have more of those episodes coming up, so please stay tuned for that. But starting a new thing, letting go of that loneliness and building yourself a community through podcasting, that helps.
Mhm.
If you find yourself in a dark place, like I said, that I really was, and I'm not saying that I'm completely cured, because I still have bouts, and without therapy, my God, I probably don't know where I would be, because I use a lot of tools to help me to get to a place where I need to be when it comes to my anxiety. But this is a place to start. Start talking, start something virtual, start sharing, and you would be amazed at the release that it would give you.
Mhm. Yeah, and like you said, the people who come and say, "Oh, I can identify with that. That
Mm-hmm.
happens to
Mm-hmm.
me, or that happened to someone in my family, or
Mm-hmm.
nobody spoke about this before, and now you're talking about it, and now I can
Mm-hmm.
share that my experience with that thing, or like
Yeah.
what my story is with it." So you would actually be surprised at the different connections you can make, the different people who come out.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much more support than you think. For whatever reason, we are always looking at the negative. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to, kind of put yourself out there, you're like, oh my God, people are going to say such bad things.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, you don't have as many people saying bad things. Yes, there's going to
They
be,
don't.
some trolls and people who just have
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do,
Mm-hmm.
but tear others down. But the vast majority of the comments, the vast majority of the emails, the messages are supportive. They
They
are
really are. They
supportive.
really are. I agree. They really are. One of my clients, I tell them, I told her, one of my clients, I told her to don't get caught up with the numbers when you first start your podcast channel. Don't get caught, because if you get caught up looking and obsessed with the numbers, it
Mhm.
will discourage you. It really will. When we first started my first podcast, Truth and Coffee Time, we had 5 listeners for a long time. And we used
Mhm.
to joke about it. And we would be on the podcast and we say, all 5 of our listeners, thank you so much for listening. You know what I mean? And we would just make jokes about it. And at first I was like getting so caught up in the numbers. And then I had to remember my why. I didn't start the podcast for listeners. I started the podcast for me, to help
Mhm.
me get out of that dark place.
Mhm.
And once I started reminding myself of the why, and we changed our format a little bit to try to just really nail down what we were doing, we ended up all of a sudden we're at 10,000 downloads. And I'm like, oh my God, we went from that 5 listeners to getting 10,000 downloads over time. But if I had just really was obsessed with those numbers when I don't think we would have made it through the process, because I would have
Yeah.
quit. Like, oh, no one's listening, no one cares, no one, you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
don't get stuck on the numbers. Don't get obsessed with the numbers.
Look at the numbers differently. I
Mm,
feel we are so jaded because you hear
mhm,
about people who have 1 million subscribers
mhm,
or,
mhm,
hundreds of thousands of likes,
mhm,
and so if you get 10 or you get 5 or you get
mhm,
100, you're thinking, oh my goodness, nobody is watching.
mhm,
Well,
mhm.
if 100 people knocked at your door and said, I want to hear what you have to say, how would you feel about that?
Yeah, yeah.
If you were in a
So,
room with 25 people waiting to hear what you had to say, how would you feel about that? Would you say, oh my
mhm,
God, nobody's here? No, you'd be
yeah,
like, oh my God, there's so many people here. Oh my
yeah,
goodness. Right.
yeah.
So I think some of it is perspective, right? Because we're always comparing ourselves to other people who have been
Mhm,
doing the thing longer, right?
mhm,
Who have been out there in the spaces longer, who have the audiences that they've built
mhm,
over time. But
mhm.
even if your audience never gets to be more than, 500 people, that's 500
That's
people.
500 people.
That's
And that is
500 people.
an amazing perspective too to look at it, Kamisha.
Yes.
You're looking at 500 people digitally, and you're like, oh my God, there's only 500 people. There's only 100 people. But if you were asked to speak at an event and you were being paid to speak at that event, and you walked in that room and there were 500 listeners in there, oh my
Right.
God. God gives us these ideas and visions to see how faithful we are with the few before he adds the
Mm.
many. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you
Mm-hmm.
can't be faithful and give your best to the 5, how are you going to give it to the 500?
And stop comparing yourself. This isn't a game of comparison, right? As you've
The
mentioned,
sin of
this is a
comparison.
game. Yeah, this is a game
Mhm.
of finding your people and talking to your people. That's
Mhm.
what
Your
it is.
audience. Your
That's it.
audience.
You just need to find your audience, find your people, and talk to your
Mhm.
people, no matter how many of them there are, right? Because
Mhm.
they are out there. Of course, when you gain numbers and you gain people and you gain the downloads and you gain the followers and you gain the subscribers and you gain the listening time, then
Mhm.
you have the potential to actually make money, right?
Mhm.
So that is
Mhm.
also another reason,
Mhm.
especially as we get older and we age, and maybe you're retiring, or maybe you
Yeah.
collect Social Security, and maybe you
Mhm.
could use some additional income coming
Mhm.
in,
Some
right? There's
passive
many
income.
different ways that you can monetize your
Mhm.
podcast and or
Mhm.
YouTube channel and or brand that you've created,
Yep.
as a result. So
Mhm.
also think about that, right? Because
Mhm.
lots of times we think, oh, we just have to go get like a part-time job as a greeter at
Mhm.
Walmart or something.
Mhm.
No, this
Yeah.
is a time that is so exciting to me because
Mhm.
there are so many more opportunities because we have this online digital space. And
Yeah.
instead of us jumping in, we are intimidated by it.
Yeah.
No, this is
Yeah.
the time
Let's
to
just jump
actually
in. Let's
jump
just go.
in.
Hmm.
Jump
I
in.
what I need our listeners to know is, if you're a woman of a certain age and you're thinking of starting this platform or starting a podcast, you don't have to have 500 listeners to monetize in a way or to make money. There's so many different ways to make money with your brand, with your podcast. That you can start immediately with 5 listeners. There's
Mhm.
ways to make money. You can do events. There's so many different ways to do it. So don't let that scare you. Don't go in it for the money. Remember your why and then learn how to monetize. It happens. It'll come. It'll come. I'm telling you, if you're looking at this adventure as a get rich quick scheme, then this is the wrong platform. Absolutely, it's the wrong platform, because there are so many podcasts out there that do not make money, nothing at all, because they don't understand the monetization. If it's a hobby, then let it be a hobby. Don't put the pressure on yourself. But if you really want to do this platform, then do the platform and tell your story and share it. And always, I cannot say this enough, remember your why.
Mhm.
Remember your why of doing it. I have to remind myself, this episode has been just even inspirational to me to just keep reiterating that fire within me for when I first reached out to Kamisha and said, let's do this, So,
Because I mean, that's something to think about too. While we're telling you like all of the benefits and the reasons why we think this is amazing for women over, middle age, over 40, 50, middle age, wherever you are, in life, where people think you don't have anything else to offer, there are going to be times when you're like, oh my God, there are only two people. And it took me 3 days to upload this podcast,
It took me 7 hours to edit this one video.
I know, right? And I got a whopping 3 views, So there are going to be times when you are questioning, why are you doing this? Is it worth your time? Is it worth your energy? Is there something else you should be doing? But you're right. Think about why you're doing this. And then also give yourself some time. I don't think we give ourselves enough time. We think everything is supposed to happen so fast. Give yourself some grace, give yourself some time to grow and to actually figure out what you're doing so you can be better at it.
And to connect.
To get better at it, to connect with more people where, there are a number of YouTube channels. There are thousands and tens of thousands of podcasts out there. Many of them, though, people are not even active, right? People are using them. And many of it doesn't have any real content or good content on there, right? So don't think of it as, oh my gosh, I'm competing with all of these people. Nobody's going to see my stuff. No, put yourself out there. You have to start. Starting is the first thing. And just continue to learn, continue to grow, continue to put your stuff out there, continue to improve, continue to get better. Just as you said, Denise, like you've learned things just with us working together on this platform. So just continue and keep going. Just keep going.
Don't stop. Just start. Just start and keep going. Start, keep evolving. Start, keep going.
Yes. And we ladies, okay, we are at a point in our lives where we should not.
She's about to get serious now. You heard it, guys. She said, wait a minute. Okay.
All right, ladies. I want y'all to listen up.
She about to give us a nugget right now.
No, I was just gonna say, when are we going to stop making excuses? You are 45, you are 50, you are 55, you are 60, you are 65. When are we going to stop making excuses and saying that we don't have enough of what we need to do what we want? If God has given you the vision, if God has given you the idea, it is for you to move on. You have everything you need. You have everything. You have everything you need. And everything else that you need will come as you go, but you have to move. You have to get in motion. You actually have to do something. You can't just be sitting on something. You can't just be sitting on an idea and wondering, when is it going to happen? It's going to happen when you do something. That's when it's going to happen. It's not going to happen if it's just floating around in your head, right? And if we don't do it now, when? If not now, when? Yeah. We are on the other side of our life, right? There's not that many people that live to be 100. There's not that many people that live to be 90, right? So it's not as though we have so many more years left. If you're not starting it now, when the hell are you going to start it? When are you going to do it? What are we waiting for? Stop waiting. There's nothing else to wait for.
That's right. My writing mentor said, do it. Do it afraid. Just do it.
Just do it. Just do it. Stop making excuses. You're too old for all these excuses. Just do it. And if it doesn't go well, oh well, it didn't go well. Next. Thank you. Who's that? An Ariana Grande. Thank you. Next. Thank you. Next. Just move on.
Yeah.
Don't be in your head so much about it. Just get started. Have some faith in yourself. Or even if you don't have faith in yourself, have faith in your God or whatever it is you believe. God, I don't know what I'm doing, but I have faith in you that you will allow this thing to happen because you've given me this idea and this purpose and this mission. And just go.
Oh, this was great. I love this. You guys start something new. Start a podcast. Start a YouTube channel. Tell your story. Your voice matters. Build your confidence. Find an outlet. Use it as therapeutic, but do something. do
Mhm.
something. There
Yes.
you have it.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Thank you as always,
Thank
Denise. This
you.
has been wonderful. We
Yes, it
hope we have
has.
encouraged you or yelled at you or kicked you a little bit, pushed
Push
you,
just a little bit.
pushed you. Just
Yeah.
remember, because like we said, this podcast is about you, ladies. This is
Mhm.
about you.
And it's a
And
new
so
year. Do
maybe you
something.
need, yeah, maybe you need somebody to help shake you up a little bit. Okay, we fine.
Reset. Let's do a
We'll do it.
reset.
Yeah, we'll help you. We will be your shakers and resetters or
Mhm.
whatever. Okay, because we
Mhm.
believe in you and we know if we can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
You can
We
do
should
it.
have we should put together a reset workshop, Kamisha.
Oh,
Ooh, a
look at
reset
you.
workshop.
Reset.
Reset.
Reset. Let's go. Let's get it. Get out
Yeah.
there. Start creating. Do
Yeah.
something new this year. Find
Reach
something
out to
that
me if you need
is for
help.
you. And Ness, yes,
Mhm.
if you need help with your podcast, reach out to Denise. She can support you.
Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, everyone, and happy New Year. Happy
Yes.
New Year.
And
Mhm.
keep blooming, ladies.
Keep blooming, ladies.